truck rolled 3 blocks down the hill and ran into a house. And gold, coal, or silver, usually I hauled it. Ripped the whole porch right off the house. I was a truck driver in the Army. Couldn't stay in high school, so they told me either I had to spend an extra year or join the service. So I joined the service. I was the first of all volunteer Army. I went into basic training. I was one of the first units that went in as all volunteer, and I was in with the last of the draftees. I got a lot of preferable treatment in there because of I enlisted. Draftees, boy, they really got abused. Well, when I was in we were in Colorado for I think 18 months. I was there. I drove a bus and mostly a post taxi, and then I went to Germany, and there I was in an equipment operation, and all we hauled was M60 tanks around Germany. I mean, I'm 18, 19 years old. I'm 14 wide and 150,000 pounds, and they put me behind the wheel. It's just. But I had a guy that we used to drive in convoy, and we picked up damaged tanks, and we had to haul them back to the port. And you go through these little villages. You often see them on TV. And we went around a curve, and we didn't realize the lock on the top of the turret was broke. And we went around a curve around the town and come in, and the current turret started turning. Well, when we come around, there's a house right there, and it just ripped the whole porch right off the house. And that was pretty fun. There was nobody like this in that town, but I'm sure the U.S. government took care of the house. Got out of the service at the end of September of 75. I worked at A.O. Smith for like 6 weeks as a welder, and that's not my bag. So my uncles were in the driving truck, and they kind of talked me into buying something. Okay. That's why we built this. I used it for all the maintenance on my semi when I was in that business. If it had to do with gold, coal, or silver, usually I hauled it. So to the mines, a little over 2 million miles. One morning I come home and I must have set the brakes on the trailer, and the trailer didn't have spring brakes. At that time, everything has to have spring brakes now. In other words, when you pop the button, it locks it. You can't move it. Well, the air bled off, and my truck rolled 3 blocks down the hill and ran into a house, and I damaged the guy's house. But I had a lot of damage to the truck. I mean, it was 6 weeks before I got my truck back. A lot of weather. Why, geez, some of the weather I used to get into is just terrible. I've spent nights on the interstate lots of times in Wyoming, Montana, South Dakota. You get out there and all of a sudden they just close the gates, and there you are. You got miles and miles of trucks and cars, and we just spend the night, find a job. It too many. In the last 5 years or so that I worked, the restrictions got so bad. But for somebody getting into it now, not long haul. I mean, if they want to go short, you could make some money doing that. But I just never was. I never could have worked for anybody. I used to buy nothing but GM. They kind of ticked me off. I went to buy a pickup, and they used to have that credit card, and you could put $3,500 on it. Using your credit card would gain points. And we bought the one car we bought we had $3,500 on it, worked real slick. And next time I came to buy a pickup, and I had $3,500 on it, and he says, "Oh, only can use $1,500." So I had him rip up the contract. I says, "Nope, we're not buying one of these." And he said, "Well, what are you gonna do?" I said, "Go down to Ford, and Soerens is right there." And that's how I started. I went down there and bought the car there. And we were just figuring out since 08, I bought 9 cars from over there. That was an 07 F-150. And then I bought that 08 Mustang about a month later. And then we bought the Edge, a 13 Edge. And then we bought an 18 Edge. And then we bought a 23 Edge. I'm treated well. The people are nice. I got to know the guys in the service. I know Tyler real well. And one of her tax clients, who were sitting here one night, she was doing her taxes. And a woman's, she's 60 years old, I think. And she just didn't want to go to dealership, and she was going to go look at a RAV4, and I said, oh, geez. Not one of those, you know. And then we sat there, and I says, let me call Mike. So I called Mike, and I said, the woman's, I said, she's retired. I said, but she's got a CD coming due for about 20 grand. I says, what can you do? He said, well, I've got a Escape sitting here, and it had a few, I don't know, 1,000 miles or something on it. And it was 25,000. He says, I could let that go for 20. So I said, well, we'll come on over. So we went over there. She bought the car and took it home. And well, that was 2 years ago. She just loves it. Just thought that was it. She couldn't get over how nice it was being treated like that. Even if I didn't, because she went back there the second time, and she says, just coming back was great. She says it just, she liked it. Home of the nice guys. I built a motorcycle. Yeah, see, that's the motorcycle I built. Del Camino as I was doing it. And I had a knee replacement. I had nothing to do, and a friend of mine owned a motorcycle shop, so him and I went in. I bought all the parts and started putting it together, and he helped finish it up. And yeah, I restored that El Camino. And if you buy one of these, you gotta reach way up here to get that open. Well, I didn't like doing that. I just make my own.
That's awesome.
I bought this out of Equipment Specialists up in Farland, Wisconsin. They actually bought 4 of these from me. I made them 4 of them. If you look down the side of the car, it's all ripply. The body's rippled. Well, I didn't know what that was, and I didn't think much about it. Well, what happened is the guy in Las Vegas sandblasted the car. That heats the metal up and ripples it. When Goff's was next door, and I got ready to paint, I took it over there, and he looked at it. He said they wouldn't even touch it because it would cost $20,000 to paint it for them to straighten the body. He says, just paint it, drive it, and that's what I've done. It's been painted 22 years now, I think. Yeah, and this is the way it looked. I've never done anything to it since I had it. Well, I've liked El Caminos all my life, and we bought one early. She never liked pickup trucks, so we bought a El Camino. I had a 70, and then I forgot why, but we switched to a car, and then I needed, as I stayed in trucking, I still needed a vehicle, so we bought a new 76 El Camino, and I had that for like 17 years. It rusted away. And then we had a 77 El Camino, and then after we got rid of that, I bought my son liked them. And then when I went, like I said, I was stuck in Vegas for a weekend, had nothing to do, so I dropped my trailer, and I would go to people's house and they'd show up with my Peterbilt, and they'd say, oh, here's somebody who's got money, you know. But nothing I really liked until Sunday night. I found this one, and then I bought this one, and that's what I did. Yeah, and then I hauled it home. We did a lot of work at Caterpillar out there in Vegas, and they let me use their dock and load it up on the trailer and brought it back.